Hi everybody, and welcome along to the follow-up from the Citrix EMEA webinar that we did last week with Citrix EMEA channel team, introducing our business to you. And of course, what we're trying to do today is to put a bit more meat on the bones as far as what we can offer you guys out there who are delivering, or being asked to deliver NVIDIA grid-based GPU deployments. So, my name is Adam Chull, and I'm the CEO, and also we are recording this session, so we'll be able to share this with you later. My operations director, Chris Harvey, will be on shortly to talk through the ins and outs of how we look to work with partners like yourselves. And in the meantime, I think I just need to reiterate why we're talking to you today and who IMS CAD are. This is a niche market opportunity, of course. I mean, CAD users and design users are, without question, demanding and also require a lot of attention as far as how virtualization is deployed in their businesses. You're dealing with high-end graphics and probably things you maybe not have dealt with in the past with traditional Zen desktop or Zen app environments. So what we want to try and bring to you is an experience that we have of the application mix that generally these designers need. And we started out our business pretty much with Autodesk, who most of you probably may know, who provide products like AutoCAD, for example. 6 years ago now, where they actually contracted us to certify their products on Citrix, and that of course was a great sort of launch pad for us to then move into deployments with them, and ultimately work with their channel partners to offer virtualization there as well. So although we're based in London, we are a global business serving customers all over the world, in particular in the US. So we've got the experience, and I think that's key. And so what we've managed to do over that time is hone our process into a model that can really be taken to market by people like yourselves now. And we've done about 500 plus deployments now of Zen app and vGPU in particular. So there is a great opportunity to potentially work with us, and we want you to, and we can obviously be that kind of technology partner that can sit on your shoulder and make sure that when these type of opportunities come along, you're not worried or at all nervous about deploying CAD or 3D based applications in a Citrix environment. We also have a testing environment ourselves in a demo server, which we can test out environments for customers if they want to moving forward with us, and at the same time offer we've worked with people like NVIDIA themselves, of course, Intel of their new GPU solution. So we're quite at the edge of the cutting edge of the technology as it is, and we want to be able to share that experience and knowledge that we have with you guys, so we can all push the market forward, because GPU is without question a growing market. So we look forward to hopefully working with you guys. So moving forward, I'm going to hand over to Chris now, who's going to talk you through how we'd actually work with you guys in reality. So Chris.
Thanks, Adam. Hi everybody, this is Chris Harvey, Ops Director here at IMS CAD. Now, basically, Adam's sort of given us a good overview there. I'm going to put some meat on the bones in terms of what a partnership looks like for us as IMS CAD, and what we expect from a partnership, and the services that we can offer you to support you taking these deployments out to your clients and your customers. So, in essence, one of the first things I'm going to say, and I think it's important to point out, is that what you'll see, we're not doing anything fancy on the slide deck today. It's very straightforward, very much like us. We are what we are. We don't profess to be something that we're not. We work in a very niche market. This is what we do, the virtualization of 3D and design apps, and that's it. We are a Citrix partner, but obviously we work with other Citrix partners. Our interests are just in the specific area that we work in. So rather than looking at us as competition, we really are here to support you guys in taking these solutions forward, and we can really complement your deliveries to your clients. So I put the first point up here as commitment. What do we look for in terms of commitment? Well, frankly, we make this as easy as we can. We don't need you to sign a lengthy contract with us, any lengthy partnership agreements or anything of that nature. You can simply come to us on an ad hoc basis, lead by lead, and look to us to support you in those deployments. Now, we do have clients who sign up and partners who sign up and get much more involved in marketing and joint marketing ventures and things of that nature. That doesn't suit everybody, and we don't expect everybody to agree and commit to that. So we try and make this as easy as possible. Let's look at lead referral. You've got a lead, it's one of your clients, and I think this is the key. These are your clients, they're not our clients. We're going to help you with your clients and hopefully work with you as a trusted partner in helping you deploy those solutions to what are your clients. So if you come to us with a lead, that lead will be protected for your organization, registered as such in our CRM, and then we'll help you develop that lead through a range of services that we can offer to help you support that client and that deployment. Now, the reason for this, the reason for the partnership is quite simple. We have the knowledge, we're at the leading edge of this technology. You know, Adam mentioned a moment ago about some of the testing we've done. We did the first pilots for Autodesk on their AutoCAD and their Revit ranges of products before they made those Citrix ready. We did the scalability testing for NVIDIA on their grid products before they were released. We're currently doing testing with Intel on their embedded GPUs. So we really are at the sort of leading edge of this technology. We know what's happening. We know it's an ever-changing market. There's always new stuff coming out. There's upgrades to applications. There's improvements in hardware at every level. Improvements even in Citrix on the virtualization platform itself. And we're at the leading edge of this, so we know how to get the best out of all of those different technologies. And the reality here is for you guys who must have some very skilled people on your staff who potentially could learn this stuff and take you to market yourselves. But it's how much is that going to cost? What's the time scale of you achieving that? The reality is we have that knowledge. This is the area we specialize in, so we can take you to market straight away. There isn't a learning curve, and then what's the cost of keeping your guys on the leading edge of that technology? We can help you get there. We can take you there. It's the shortcut route to get to market. The final thing that I said there on this slide is about support services. And what I'm going to do, and this is sort of the crux of what we're talking about today, what are the services that IMS CAD offer? What are we doing to support you and support you in the deployments with your clients? I've done this in a manner whereby I've tried to emulate the sort of sales cycle or the deployment process. So if we look at the beginning, let's start at the beginning with training. We can provide training for your sales teams so that they can understand who they're targeting, why they're targeting, what are the specific needs, the key issues faced by design users, what are the key benefits for those design users. So it's really about understanding the markets, understanding who to target, how to target, where the best fit is. We can help your sales guys with this. We can provide training for that. We can also provide training for your technical people, for your solutions architects, so that they understand what's necessary from a hardware, from an infrastructure perspective to support these resource-hungry 3D design apps. Also, what we'll let them know is, you know, what's the point to bring in IMS CAD? At what point should you be bringing us in to support you in a deployment? What information do you need to get from the customer? What questions should you be asking to help you get the information that we're going to need to make sure we get the right solution? Because these are not deployments like basic office applications where you load them up and they work. It doesn't work like that with 3D and design apps. We really need to put in a bit more effort. There's a lot more customization and optimization, both in the platform, in Windows, often in the applications themselves, in order to get these to work. And this really is our particular skill is in understanding the applications and understanding what those applications need to make them work on that platform and in that environment. Second from here, I've talked about lead development. Now, obviously, first off, we're talking about calls or meetings. Whether you want us to come on a call, direct face-to-face meetings, whether it's a conference call, whichever way it is. Obviously, we have a global reach, so we're often on conference calls as opposed to doing face-to-face meetings. That gives us a chance to ask the questions that we need, to glean the information that we need to understand the deployment and the needs of the client. And it's all about really qualification of the opportunity, and therefore agreeing from there what are the next steps that we're going to take forward. Something I think I should point out here, within each of these, we're talking here about services offered to Citrix partners by IMS CAD. Each of these items can be a separate product, as it were, from IMS CAD. So each of these has a timescale associated with it, it has a cost associated with it, and equally it has a deliverable associated with it. You can take these services from us at any point. I'm not saying all of these have to be done. Pick which bits you want. Some people would just want us to come in and get involved in the scoping, for example, or get involved in optimization of an environment once it's already been built. So each of these can be looked at as individual services. So I just want to highlight that fact now before we go any further. But we talk here, in this case, lead development, we're looking at scoping. Well, what we would do normally in these situations is we'd look at an environment overview. There's a document we get the clients to fill in. That allows us to get the information we need, upon which we can analyze, we can make some assessments, and it really gives us an opportunity to scope the opportunity out, and from there draft recommendations for a basic solution design, recommendations on the hardware that's going to be necessary, the infrastructure that's going to be necessary, and equally some analysis of the user data, which is going to be very relevant. This all comes down to the applications and workflows of those individuals. I've also put on there demo server. I know Adam touched upon this earlier. We have demo servers set up in the UK, also in the US, a very strong sales tool. A lot of CAD and design people don't believe that they can get workstation performance from a remote solution or a server-based solution, and the demo servers really show them that they can. And we have these set up. We can give access to multiple users. They can upload their own data, and it really gives them a real feel of what virtualization can be and what the potential can be. So it's a very strong sales tool that we have available, and would encourage you to use. Next on the list, I put environment analysis. Now, this can be an existing environment, an environment that's already been built by you, let's say, or in a customer site that needs to be analysed. So this would normally take the sort of form of a remote session. One of our engineers will access the environment. We'll really do an assessment of what's there. Now we can look at this for the infrastructure. And really, from there, what we'd be looking at in terms of a deliverable is advice on best practices in terms of the infrastructure design. We'd be highlighting where we see things that aren't going to support 3D applications, resource-hungry applications, because you will find in the infrastructure design a few subtle changes that are necessary to support these types of applications. The application analysis is also key. We look at a lot of clients where we basically ask to virtualize hundreds and sometimes even thousands of applications, and often we have to go through a process of application rationalization in order to get the applications in the right form, whether that's packaged, how we're deploying them, which images we're putting them on. It's really key to getting this right. What we don't want to be doing is building master images or golden images that are too weighty and are weighed down purely by weight of applications. We'll also see potential conflicts between one application and another when virtualized. So it's really a case of understanding those applications, analyzing them, and then making recommendations on how best to deploy those applications. The last point under environment analysis is users, and I've put brackets workflows. It's really important to understand details of the user numbers, their locations, their workflows, and based on that, with a mix with the application analysis, we can make an assessment of what is going to be the best way to deploy this, what's going to be the best images, how many golden images are we going to need, and how we're best going to deploy those. And this can vary. It can be, and we see this a lot, where we have mixed deployments, where Some users, some applications are better suited to vGPU, others are better suited to the pass-through or the Zen app delivery. And this all comes down to what's right for the client based on the workflows. It will change the scalability of a solution. It will change the numbers that we can support. Now, we've got certain limitations on how many users per server based on vGPU. If we move this to a Zen app delivery with a pooled resource for remote users, you know, we've got clients running with 30 to 40 users per physical host. So it can dramatically change the scalability of a solution. But that has to be assessed, and the virtualization strategy has to be assessed based on all of this analysis that we do from the existing environment. Next up, we're talking about solution design here. Another service we can offer, whether this is the hardware, whether we're actually analyzing the analysis data, the environment overview documents that we've got, so that we can actually assess what's going to be the best hardware to suit this deployment. We're talking about resource-hungry applications. We need to ensure that we get the right resource at the right place, whether that's ring-fenced to an individual user, whether it's pooled resource to support a group of users. So it's really about understanding how to support those applications and users and getting the right hardware available for them. In the same way, we can talk there about infrastructure design. It's about getting exactly the same, is putting the best things in place from the infrastructure perspective. What's best practice? How should the network be set up? What do we need on the NICs? You know, how do we want the storage set up? You know, it's a classic case with storage where we often see storage set up as you traditionally would in a storage environment with different RAID configurations that support resiliency within that storage. What's often forgotten about in that is the IOPS performance of that storage. Well, when we're talking about virtualization, certainly with VDI on these types of applications, the IOPS performance is absolutely essential and determines how we're going to look in terms of performance that the user sees. So it's absolutely essential to get all of these mixes of hardware, of infrastructure, and just the way it's configured, whether that's down to the NICs, whether it's down to the storage and the RAID configs. These have a massive impact on perceived performance for the end user. It's very important when we're talking here about looking at users coming in remotely into these environments, as they often will. And you know, some of the benefits of Citrix are clearly about mobility, whether that's for the users or the enterprise themselves. But it's about collaboration, it's about remote access, it's all of these things which we know Citrix is and we love. But when we're talking about this, the one thing we've got to ensure with these heavy-duty apps is we absolutely eliminate infrastructure latency. Then we're giving ourselves the best chance of delivering a quality performance across a network or across a wider area network. But if we've got latency at the infrastructure, we're never going to achieve that, and this is the hardest thing to overcome. Obviously, network latency is a different thing. We've got different tools to deal with all of that, but it's very difficult to identify when it's network latency as opposed to infrastructure latency, because for the end user, all he sees is a poorly performing mouse or, you know, a slow refresh on the screen rates. So it's absolutely essential to get all of these things in place, and from there we can then make recommendations from that design on what the image build should be. How many images, how many golden images are we going to need to support this user group? And this is key because we don't want to get too many golden images. Again, we're creating a management headache. One of the benefits is single instance management to support a host of users. So if we're creating multiple images, we need to ensure that we're getting the images right, we're getting them manageable, we're not going to have conflicting applications within images, but we're giving the users the right image to support their workflows and the mix of applications that they need and tools to carry out their job. So it's an absolute essential part of that solution design. Now, slide 2 of our services, and you know this does go on a little bit, sorry, but these are additional services that we offer, and we're talking here about build and installation, which is a key part. Now, for some clients, we do the complete build. I will say, I think in most cases here, we're talking to specifically Citrix partners today. It's much more likely that you're going to do a lot of the builds and we're going to be working with you on a consultative basis. We can do image builds, we can do complete environment builds, we can do management builds, we can do the installation of the applications. They'll often be packaged and installed by the client anyway. We can, do the XenApp image builds, the desktop VMs, whichever. So whether this is pilot, production, whichever, we can support you on that. We've got experience of doing that. But often, I think in the case here, we'll be looking at you guys to do that, and we'll be working on a consultative basis to support you. So that might be doing the image builds. It might be building those golden images, doing the functionality testing on them, making sure they're working effectively, doing the optimization of those images, of the environment, to get the best out of those and the best out of the applications. There's a lot of different aspects to this. Each of these can be carved up as different services and effectively products that we can offer to support you. We've also put on here CloudBridge, NetScaler. These are obvious tools that I'm sure you're all aware of. Many of you will have experience of deployment of these. We certainly do, because they're essential in the deployment of 3D applications. So we have experienced NetScaler and CloudBridge guys who can help in not just in the installation, but in the configuration of those tools to get the best out of the performance of the apps and across the network. I've also put on here monitoring, and I think this is a key point. Many people have different monitoring solutions in place. We actually worked very closely with Goliath in assisting them in the production of their monitoring, specifically in relation to the vGPU aspect, where we actually now, Goliath can monitor literally within the virtualized GPU, so not just a physical GPU, but can actually get metrics and statistics on the performance of individual virtual GPUs. So this is a real key tool in us understanding resource usage and therefore ultimately scalability of the solution. So that was a huge thing we did with Goliath and NVIDIA. Very good products, but we can certainly help you on that aspect in terms of the monitoring. Next, we're talking about testing and tweaking. Now, in a standard deployment for us, we would normally expect after deployment, which may be 14, 21 days, however long it takes, depending on the size and complexity, we would then look at a testing period. This is essential for 3D and design apps. We need to do a lot of optimization, customization of the applications. It may be within Windows, it may be on the virtualization platform, it might be within the apps themselves. There's a lot we need to do to get the best performance out of these applications in these environments. So it needs to be catered for, it should be built in. We can plan schedules for the test period. We can support, the design of user test tasks, analysis of the user feedback, the test feedback. We can also look at the monitoring, what we're seeing on the monitoring, and assess that. And from all of that, we can then do performance tweaking based on that feedback and analysis that we've done. So that will really give us, it's the sort of key bit of getting these applications working. They're not out-of-the-box solutions. We need to do some work to make them work effectively and give the users the performance they need. So this is quite a key thing. And of course, from there, the other thing we get, of course, from this analysis is understanding of the resource usage. By getting that, looking at the monitoring, assessing and analysing the monitoring data that we get, we can therefore give proper recommendations on the scalability of this solution. We can only do that once we know exactly what resource is being used at any particular time. And from there, of course, with the rollout plans, we can make assessments of impacts of disaster recovery, high availability, what are the backup policies. It's a whole host of things that come from that, including, the recommendations on future hardware requirements to support rolling this out across a client's estate. So these are all things we can do. Now, last on the list of IMS CAD services I put here is support. Now, in its essence, support can be broken down in a number of ways. One of the things I put here, it might just be a sanity check. You might have built an environment. You might be asking us to come and look at that environment, make an assessment on it. Does this meet what we consider to be best practices? Are there changes in the design that can make this better? Are there recommendations that we can give, bits that haven't been done as we would consider best for optimization or indeed for scalability? So that's just a simple side we can do. One of the things we are doing more and more falls under the term troubleshooting. We have a number of clients who try this technology, a number of partners who try this technology and don't receive and don't get the performance that they're looking for. And we're called in to try and assist in that situation. Now, that might be analysing problems, analysing why there's issues, understanding the environment to see if it's an infrastructure issue, to see if it's a network issue, you know, really honing down to find where it is, where has this deployment gone wrong, why are the applications not performing. And this is something we really specialise in, but it comes down to optimising the environment, one part of the environment, to ensure we get the application performance. So it's a key thing. One of the other parts of our support service is obviously doing upgrades. Now, these can be upgrades to the virtualization platform, they can be upgrades to Windows, can be upgrades to the applications. Often the applications, we've seen clients upgrade an application and basically take the whole environment down by doing an upgrade. Often it's a process that needs to be structured, you know, backups need to be done. Impacts of upgrades can be significant, so it's something that needs to be considered carefully, and that's something we can support you with. And finally, of course, I put on there support. One thing we can do is sit in the background behind these deployments, offering second, third line support coverage, and that can be done as a per event, can be a term contract with full SLAs, whatever's going to be necessary to support that environment in the manner that the client requires and that you require to give the service levels to your client that they're demanding. So in essence, that covers the sort of support services that IMS CAD offer to you. The next step is, well, where do we go from here? How do we move this forward? And really it's about taking this to the market. To our mind, the first thing that needs to happen is you need to get us on your approved suppliers list. You need to get that agreed. It's an administrative task, but let's start the process on it. Let's get that out of the way, because if you've got a client who wants our support and we're not an approved supplier, then the availability of that service is going to be held back pending that administrative process. So get us on your approved suppliers list. We're quite happy to sign any non-disclosure agreements. It's a good thing to get these in place. You know, we're here to work as your trusted partner. We're not here in any way in competition for you. So let's get these things clear. Let's get the admin stuff out of the way, and then we'll be ready to help you. The next step I'd suggest is let's look at some staff training, whether that's for your solutions architects, your technical teams, whether it's for your sales guys. Let's get that underway. The best route to follow in that, I would normally think, is for us to do a webinar. We can do individual webinars for technical people. We can do individual webinars for your salespeople. It can also be that we can provide you with a webinar which will cover all of those. But that's it's often easier to do it independently. But I think just giving people a basic overview of where design users fit into this, the key problems design users have, where are the sweet spots in the industry, and really then honing down into, well, what questions should you be asking of those clients, of those clients who are looking at this? What information do we need to gather so that we can then start pushing them in the right direction and supporting them in their delivery? I would also suggest from here we agree a go-to-market strategy. I think it's fairly clear some of you will have clients already asking you about virtualization of 3D applications, in which case going to market is fairly straightforward. We just need to service those client demands. But let's agree a go-to-market strategy. Let's determine what's best. This will be different for many different partners out there because you have different markets that you specialize in. So let us help you determine within your markets who's going to be the best people to target, what's the best way to go to that market. Some people do individual calling of the target customers as they see them after doing some data mining. Others will do a more general sort of broad-based approach and see what transpires from there. But we can support you on that. We can help you with who to target, who are going to be the key markets, where are the sweet spots going to be, where should we be looking at this. Now, as I've said, you'll all have existing clients out there who are, or some of them who will be looking at virtualization of 3D apps. If they're not speaking to you, they'll be speaking to somebody else. But everyone's looking at this. This is really topical at the moment. So you will have clients who are looking at this currently. They might not be speaking to you because you don't particularly offer 3D application services. But as a client of yours, you should really be able to step up and pick those up. We refer to this as, of course, the low-hanging fruit. One of the best routes we find, I've got to be honest for this, is to do the webinar, get a webinar out there. We'll present on a webinar for you. We'll explain and help explain the benefits of virtualization for these 3D design users, and then support you in taking those opportunities forward into deployed solutions. And as I've said, things like the demo servers are a massively strong sales tool, which can be used to support that sales process. I popped in a slide here, really just as it says, expectations. What should you expect from us? Well, other than us being professional and effectively a representative of your organisation, we should stand up as IMS CAD because we have strength of knowledge and branding, certainly in this space. But we will always support your organisation in a professional manner. What you could expect from us, though, clear points of contact. Who are you going to speaking to? When do you speak to IMS CAD? What can you expect from us? And this is the thing, it's all about expectations. So we'll give you confirmed response times. We'll clearly define all of our services so that you've got absolute clarity of scope. You know when you're coming to us to ask us to do a job, you know what that job is. We all agree where the scope is, where the job starts, where the job ends, what is the scope of that work, and that's clearly defined for everybody. We can confirm how long that's going to take us and how much that's going to cost you. So you're going to know exactly where you are. I think it's better to have complete transparency on these things. It makes the working process much easier for everybody. And the other thing to add to this is, at the end of it, you'll have a clear deliverable. You'll know exactly what you're going to get from us at the end of this process. And I think that's key. It helps everybody stay on side. It helps everybody work together. But this is something, you know, that's going to be coming. You're going to develop these relationships with us and see the way that we work, and see the way that we handle and deal with the client inquiries, and obviously help you push these clients who ultimately are your clients, how we can help you take these through that sales process to the actual deployed solution. So the next steps for you, basically, if you've got existing client demand, let's service it. Let's deal with those existing clients who are already showing a need. If you need to try our demo servers yourself, if any of your potential clients you think would benefit from trying our demo servers, obviously you're going to be accessing over the open internet. We can, as I say, allow you to put up their files, play with your own data, see what these are like. It's almost looking at the worst case scenario, but believe me, you'll be very impressed with the level of performance that's achieved, even on an open internet solution without any WAN optimization. So this is key. It's a very strong sales tool. I'd recommend everybody to have a look at that, or certainly be pushing that out to clients who are showing an interest. But the first things to do, let's get the NDA signed, let's get on the approved suppliers list, then we don't have an admin backlog getting in the way of supporting a customer. So let's get those things out of the way. It's fairly straightforward to do. And then we can talk about going to market. Let's decide the best route to market. Let's decide who are the sweet spots for you. We can help you with that. Where are they going to be? How are we going to support those? And then from there, we'll take it out to them, whether that's by direct calls from your sales teams, us supporting you in the background with conference calls, face-to-face meetings, or whether that's a more general webinar across your client base. We'll determine what is the best route and what's going to fit your needs best. I've put on here more information. If you need any more information on any of our services, if you want to talk to us about pricing of various other things, you want to get into a little more depth about applications or any of the optimization stuff we do, by all means get in touch. We're very happy to speak to anybody. Our details are just going to come up on the screen now, my details. If you need to speak to me, please do. We'll be happy to take your call. But I think today, hopefully, what we've done is outline the services that we can offer to support you with your clients, specifically with the clients who are talking about 3D and design applications. It's a very niche area. Help us get you through that process, because Otherwise, you can get bogged down in this. There's a lot of work that needs to be done on a lot of different levels in order to get the level of performance that these users need. But it is possible. The quality of the platform now allows us to deliver true workstation comparable performance even over the WAN. And that's important to know that that's there and that clients can have that, and we can help you deliver that to your clients. I hope I've outlined all of those services enough for you. If there is any information needed, any further information from me, my details are there on the screen. I think now we're going to have a Q&A session in a minute. For now, though, I'm just going to thank everybody for their time and their participation in the webinar today. I hope this has been informative for you. If you do have any further questions, by all means come back to me. We'll be happy to take any questions or comments or discuss things further with you. We're going to move into the Q&A now, and I'll just get some questions up from the clients. But thank you very much for listening.